Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight for another inner hour. I appreciate it. I have a new candle. Most of you who've been here for a while know I like to light a candle here on my end to start things. It's kind of a way to help me focus and center, um, which I invite you to do anything that helps you do that as well at your end. But last week I forgot to bring matches, so I couldn't do it. Look, a match. Also, my wife remembered matches, so two of us remembered matches. Yay! Anyway, so here's my little candle. It's a taper. Again, thank you for being here tonight. I do appreciate it. And I think you all know, but in case you don't, One by One, which is our organization, we record these and we have a YouTube channel. The only thing we do in the YouTube channel actually is post recordings of these. So it's not like a moneymaker channel or anything like that. But if you ever miss one and would like to see it, or for some reason you saw one and would like to see it again or something, I don't know. But anyway, they're up there. If you don't know what our YouTube channel is or how to find it, send me a little text or an email and I'll send you the link. But it's the information's out there. I think most of you have it. Anyway, so this we are finishing up our series on who is the Messiah, which is again, as I've said, is a huge topic. So I'm not going to go over all that, but that's like a major philosophical discussion in Judaism, Christianity, and some other groups and philosophers and things. But so I've tried to touch on just some aspects that I think historically might be helpful in informing your understanding or search about all this, some of which are not as commonly known or talked about, even though they're very easy to find. And it's not like New Age stuff or weird esoteric or channeled information or any of that. It's historical. It's in the Bible. It's in non-biblical historical sources from that time period. It's just something that most Christians aren't aware of, and a lot of Jews aren't either. So I've tried to bring some of that forward in this series. If you have questions about it that we haven't addressed, you're welcome to ask them tonight. And or if it's a longer one, or for some reason you don't want to bring it up in the group, you're welcome to email me, and I'm happy to answer you that way. Um, and or if you would happen to watch one of the programs on YouTube that you didn't participate in, have questions about that, feel free. Unless you see me regularly in person, email is the best way because then you can write it when you want to, and I can respond when I have time, so we don't have to connect at the same moment to do all that. So that's helpful. All right, so tonight we're finishing up that series. And we've talked about a lot of different aspects, the Zoroastrian influence, the Jewish versions of Messiah, including the fact that they had non-Jews that they considered messiahs, like the Persian king Cyrus, um, that they considered more than one Messiah, that Jews never considered Messiah to be God incarnate, um, but a human being, a fully human being born of a man and woman. We've talked about some of the messianic prophecies. We've talked about the fact that in many strains of ancient Judaism, there were two messiahs that were prophesied. So lots of things we've covered. And if you missed all that, you can catch up on YouTube or not, or email me. Tonight, I'm going to wrap up. And basically, the question tonight is all these different teachings, concepts, understandings about the Messiah and what that is, including that it's not a person, that it's a type of consciousness, it's a type of awareness or a state, a realm of um, a higher realm of spiritual awareness or universal cosmic kind of consciousness, or there's lots of different teachings, as I'm sure you know about all that. But whatever the teachings may be about the Messiah, and whatever you or I personally understand about that, so what? I mean, which is kind of a crude way to put it, but what impact does that have on us, on our lives, our everyday lives? The honest answer for a lot of people, perhaps not you or me, but for a lot of people is not much. But but for those of us kind of like-minded in this group on some sort of spiritual quest or spiritual path, or however you look at that, it can make a big difference. So I'm going to just pose a couple of questions, and as opposed to talking about something tonight and then having a discussion, I'm just going to pose some questions to the group, and anybody at any time can answer those. Or if you have another comment, some brilliant insight you want to share that isn't related to my questions, that's fine too. So here's just a few sample questions. I have more, but here's a few that we might start off with. So, for example, Jews have hoped for, prayed for, believed in, prophesied about, taught about, written about a messianic figure coming that would have a powerful impact um, on the nation of Israel and on the world in general. So, so one of the questions is, if the Messiah that the Jews were expecting, who they don't think was Jesus, and many of them are still expecting, if such a Messiah in a person, as a human being, as a person, not as a consciousness, but if a person showed up that fulfilled the Jewish Messiah role, and most of us, not all of us, most of us here are not Jews, so would that have any impact on you at all? That's one question. The second question is, if what if we believe that Jesus, or Yeshua, his Hebrew name, what if we believe that he was something other than the Son of God? What if we believe he was a great teacher, if he was a great rabbi, if he was a prophet of God, um, if he was the Jewish Messiah, the human Jewish anticipated Messiah, but not the incarnate God itself or the Son of God, um, and not our personal Savior? What if we believe something other than that about him? What if we don't believe he's our personal Savior and we don't believe he's God in some way that every other creature is not? He's exclusively God and the one and only begotten Son, for example. Um, how does that affect our lives? And if we have friends who do believe he's literally the Son of God and no one else ever is or has been or will be, how does that impact our relationship with them if they believe that and we don't? Uh, the if we believe that Jesus is coming back, the so-called second coming of Christ, if we believe that, how does that affect our lives versus not believing that? Um, Followers of Jesus, by all evidence we have in the Bible and philosophers of the time, writers of the time, historians, all a very large percent, including Peter and Paul, believed Jesus was coming back, and he was coming back in there like soon, like in a week or two, or a month or two, or but definitely in their lifetime. And if not in their personal lifetime, definitely in that generation. And of course, that didn't happen. And traditional Christians are still believing that he's still coming. Over 2,000 years later, it's like, well, he'll get here. He's still coming. And some people have given up on that hope. So what difference does that make, if any, to you in your life? So those are some of the kind of questions. One of the things I did want to point out, and then I'll stop, and hopefully some of you will address some of those types of questions or others you might have with the group. Something I did want to point out and didn't, because of historical fact that has been misrepresented in many different teachings and corners of faith. One of them is the only begotten Son. That's a very common phrase in traditional Christianity, meaning that there wasn't any other ever or ever will be another, that Jesus was the one and only begotten Son of God. And philosophically, however you feel or believe about that is 100% a matter of faith, which I'm not trying to change. But historically, that is based on a poor translation. It comes from Greek in the New Testament, where that appears. Largely, it's in the Gospel of John, but the word that's used when your English Bible translates it as the only begotten Son of God, um, That's not actually what it says in Greek. The Greek word is monogenes, monogenes. Um, that doesn't mean only or exclusive, has no connotation of that whatsoever. It doesn't mean begotten, it means unique. So the accurate Greek translation, now that's assuming the Greek translation was right in the first place, which brings us into a whole other issues with biblical writings and ancient writings of, do we have the original? Is that really what it said? Is that really right? All those questions. But um, the original Greek, as it stands in the New Testament, all the versions of the New Testament that exist today, monogenes means unique. He was a unique um, son of God. So, so that doesn't imply that he's the only. It doesn't imply that there's any special way that he was born. It doesn't imply any of that. Um, we have 6 children, and every one of them is unique. None of them are carbon copies of each other. They don't think alike, behave alike, have the same personalities, the same interests. None of that. You and I are all unique. So that's not saying to people who would have heard it in that century, who understood Greek, it was not saying to them what we've been taught to hear that it's saying now. So that doesn't have to change your belief system, but maybe it can inform it that there's been a lot we've been taught as being biblically sound that actually isn't when you look at the original Hebrew and Greek languages and the history of how those particular texts evolved over hundreds of years. So um, that's just something I'd meant to include in the series and forgot, because it is a big deal in Christianity and a big deal in Judaism because they reject that idea. They wouldn't necessarily reject the idea that he was a unique child of God. I mean, that's kind of pretty consistent with many other spiritual faith traditions. So, okay, enough of that. So, uh, anything that anyone like to address about the how any of this really impacts your life, either the questions I've raised or some other ones. If anybody would like to start, just feel free, or put up your hand if you want to use one of the icons. You can also say it doesn't impact my life. I can't wait till we get to another series. That's okay too. Yeah, surely, Nahama.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Mommy had one.
Great.
It's definitely an interesting question. What does that mean? And something in Judaism that's, I don't know the history of it, but the idea of a messianic consciousness
Mhm,
rather than a Messiah per
mhm,
se. If each of us bring the best we are, the
mhm.
best we can be, and that would entail many of the teachings that Jesus taught
Yeah,
about
yeah,
loving and
yeah.
kindness, and that the Torah is full of.
No
If we
kidding.
brought that to our world, I could imagine a messianic time.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to bring that out. Um, that and the fact that through history, if we look through history, there have been people throughout history who've talked about goodness and that sort of things,
Mm, mm.
and and they don't tend to fare so well in the end. I think it's threatening to those who want power.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Uh,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Mm.
And
So,
our history, sadly, not just Western history either, for that matter, but
right.
definitely demonstrates that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm a proponent of trying to live the best, most kind, compassionate, loving life I can.
Hmm. Hence your name.
Oh, this is true. That's for, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
that's a thank you. That's a lovely insight. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? Allison, I just saw you open your mic, but I don't know if that was on
I
purpose.
no, yeah, it was on purpose. I find the concepts of this series are fascinating, and I sure would like to talk to somebody who is fluent in Greek or at least familiar with ancient Greek so that I could get another take on some of this.
Oh, for sure.
But and I find it fascinating. And some things that I've heard you say that would, shock and probably cause apoplexy in my church.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
I actually, our new pastors, it wouldn't, but it would be other people in the church. But anyway, it's interesting to me that I don't feel like it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
I am, I am definitely called to be Christian, and I know that.
Yep.
And yet I have a very expansive view, I guess.
Yeah.
And I love hearing and learning about these things. And, just like the woman, I'm afraid I have not learned how to pronounce names correctly, but who was just speaking,
Nahama. Yeah.
Nahama. And she was talking about trying to be, the most compassionate and kind person that she can be. And I'm really kind of right there with her. It's like, I want to continue to work on what Jesus said for us to do.
Yeah.
How he wanted us to act and treat other people. And for me, that is the absolute essence of being Christian. And the rest of this stuff is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I love that. I love that understanding. Thank you, Allison. And yeah, it would be I mean, it is good because like with any translation, even modern, like if you don't know Italian and somebody says, "Well, it means this in Italian," well, maybe it does, but you don't read Italian. You don't. So maybe are they right? Are they fluent with Italian? Are they really familiar with it? Is it just kind of their take on it? Are they really quirky and out there? They're just like stretching something. I mean, so multiple sources, particularly with foreign languages, and especially ancient ones, is really helpful, for sure. And if you, so that's lovely. I also want to just say that I think what a lot of people are coming around to slowly is that you said you were called to be Christian, which I 100% think is right. I think that when you can say that, or I can say I'm called to be this, or I'm called to be that, or I'm called to be involved in this group, without saying therefore, and you have to be also. I think that's a really healthy space to be because I don't think any of us have all the answers in the whole picture. And I think what a lot of people are coming around to is that if we live the idea of loving kindness and forgiveness and compassion and trusting God, if we live that, then the individual things of our faith are kind of secondary importance. They're of importance if they support that. But I'll be quiet right after this because I know my wife is already thinking I'm talking too much. But I had a good friend who was a minister years ago, and reincarnation is a very, very almost 2/3 of the world religions teach and believe in reincarnation, and it's not a Christian. Now it's not a Christian concept. There's early on stuff that is another thing we could talk about sometime, but it's certainly not a Christian teaching now. And I was asking this good friend of mine who is a minister about what he thought about that. And I expected, well, no, it's not in the Bible, so it's not true. And Jesus didn't teach that, so it's not true. And you shouldn't believe that because it's not in the Bible. And what he said was really astonishing to me. He said, I think it's irrelevant. And I was like, excuse me? And he said, I think that Jesus taught what's essential, kind of like what Allison just said. And I'm going to believe in that. He also taught things that were antithetical to that, that would prevent you from doing the things he taught. He was very clear about that. So if he didn't say you should do this, and he also didn't say this is completely wrong, don't look into this and don't believe this at all. He also didn't say that, which he would have if it were a problem. So it's irrelevant. If you want to believe it, believe it. If you don't, don't. And I thought that was kind of an astonishing position for a Christian minister to take. But I've had a lot of conversations with a number of Christian ministers, most of whom were very open to learning some of these new things and historical things. Many of their congregants have not been. So in my limited personal experience. But anyway, enough of me.
I have found that to be true also. I remember, and this was a long time ago, I remember I was asked to teach a Sunday school something. And so I was looking at, I think that's what it was. I was looking, or maybe take a class, and I looked at the front part, and the front part stated of this book, which was not written by our church or our denomination, but it said something that I absolutely knew was not true. And it was something about, that Christianity is the only path that Christ is the only path, and Christianity is the only path to God. And I absolutely know that's wrong. And I told my pastor, I said, well, I hate to actually tell you this, but I don't believe this and I can't teach this. And he said, oh, we don't want you to teach that. That's just the front part of the book. We don't believe it. We don't believe it either. And interestingly, I just got a copy of the United Methodist, the social principles. And in there is a whole section. I mean, it's not huge, but a section that says very specifically that we, as the United Methodist Church, honor the faith, the enduring faith traditions of the world, and we believe there are multiple paths to God.
Oh my goodness. See, now that, because I grew up in that church. Well, it was just called the Methodist Church back then.
Yeah.
But so it's slightly different. But that was definitely would have thrown everybody into a tizzy in the church I grew up in.
Isn't that exciting?
That's very exciting.
Very excited.
Yeah, I'm really happy you shared that. Thank you. I did not know that. Is it possible to either send me a link or the name of that or something so I could
Yes.
get a copy of that?
Yeah, I'm trying to think where I have it. I have
Well,
it
I mean,
in
don't
paper form,
spend a lot of time,
but
but
I know it exists online, so I will find out where it exists, and I just am relishing that.
Me too. That's lovely. And there are people that I would that would appreciate that because a number of people, I mean, most of the people that I work with in this one-by-one service we do are already pretty open-minded or searching for something more or whatever different or more universal. But there are a number of them who come from very, very traditional fundamentalist Christian background. And while their personal understanding is kind of broadened from that, emotionally, they feel worried about it. Like maybe it's not okay that they're asking some of these questions. And so that would, some of those kind of things, when the church itself puts it out, would be very reassuring to them, I think. So yeah, if you can come across that.
Yes, I know it exists. I just don't know where, but I will either find it myself or I'll just ask the pastor.
Super.
Where the link is.
Yep. Appreciate that. Thanks so much. All right. Anybody else? Hi, Phil.
Hi. You mentioned first about a Messiah coming.
Yes.
Jewish criteria, or however you want to say that.
Right.
I believe that would have an effect on our lives, as so much of what we study and what Christianity is based on,
Mhm.
obviously several transitions, but based on Jewish
Oh, yeah.
history and Jewish philosophy.
Mhm.
So I can't imagine it not having an effect on us. As far as Jesus, after I thought about it, after I come to the point where I started thinking about those things, I truly believe he was sent here to teach and guide more than save.
Mm.
For the fact that we have been given free will,
Mhm.
so it has always been our choice whether we listen to God or Jesus or any of the great spiritual leaders out there. So I truly believe that. So I don't know that unless we wanted to be saved in some way, he could save us.
Mm.
And obviously, if you look at history before and after, I'm not saying we haven't changed at all, but there's still a lot of things that were going on before he got here in and during his time on earth and now even after that are still a human practice. We still
Mhm.
are doing things. We still fight with each other. There's
Mhm.
still wars.
Mhm.
There's still non-believers. There's still people who rob, etc. So I just don't think that he was here to save. And as far as if somebody like that were to show up today, somebody else mentioned that the people in power would be scared of that. That would definitely be true today.
I-
That the person would be that Messiah would be very much in danger. I feel quite
Yeah.
possibly.
Oh, yeah, me too. No question. I doubt he or she would fare any better now than Jesus did, or many of the saints from the past, and not just Christian or Jewish saints either. I mean, there's atrocities in the East that have been committed against teachers as well. But yeah, generally speaking, all the great teachers um, focus on the power of God and allowing God's power dominion in our life. That's an oversimplification, but it's pretty much universally true. And all people in state, political, and for the most part, religious power also. Um, that's to most of them. That's a threat because their power becomes either sublimated to that or irrelevant in the face of that, and it never goes well with those who are holding power. I mean, it doesn't. So, yeah, I think it's a dangerous thing to be a messiah on this planet, you know. So,
I agree. I agree.
but thank God, some of them have, I know, or whether you think of them as great teachers or however you think of them, thank God that they've been willing to do it and that God has sent them and they've stepped into those roles because, uh, truthfully, without Jesus, particularly without him, but without many of other great teachers that have come, we wouldn't, knowing what we know now and how easy it has been for us to acquire these teachings and this knowledge and this wisdom, um, we wouldn't have had exposure to any of that, and it would have been much, much, much harder for us. So, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I can see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that. Any other comments in response to some of my questions or not, just this topic in general?
Could you please repeat the question about friends or family and what they're believing and how that affects us?
Yeah, I didn't I can't repeat it word for word because I didn't have it written down, but um, the idea being basically if we have people who are really close to us in our lives, friends, family, whatever, who really strongly believe that Jesus is the only path to God, that he was literally the one and only Son of God ever, that he literally is the Savior for all mankind forever, and that our belief in him solely is what determines an eternal life in heaven or an eternal life of agony and torture in hell. If they really genuinely believe that, that's their understanding of him. And that's not our understanding. Even if we honor him and value him and try to model our behavior after him, try to live the way we understand that he told us to live, even if we try to do all that, but we don't confess him as our savior, then from their perspective, we're going to hell and they care about us. So how does that impact the dynamics of our relationship? How do we relate to them? And how do they relate to us, given the fact that we're going to hell and they care about us? What becomes of the dynamic of our relationship, given those very divergent beliefs, let alone totally rejecting him, like saying he was a phony and I don't want anything to do with him and Christianity is a bunch of fraud. And I mean, not even antagonistic, but just not with the no, I can't tell you that I think he's my personal savior for all time and nobody else. And then and without him, I'm lost forever. If I can't confess that, what happens to our relationship? So, did you want to say something in response to all that?
No, I'd just be interested if anyone has any ideas how to compassionately
Mm.
connect with people like that. I don't have a lot of people in my life that way, but there are some people. So I don't want to belittle them. I don't want to kick out crutches. I don't mean that as derisive as it sounds. But if it's important to people, then I want to honor that in them. And at the same time, I don't want to pretend to something I obviously don't believe either. So if anyone has any ideas for compassion and how to connect, and I would be interested in that.
So I see James' camera came on and Liz's hand went up. So I saw Liz, let's go with you first, and then James, I think you have something. So if you can hang on just a second.
Hi, this is Liz.
Hello.
Um, I guess I'm glad you brought up this topic. I don't know that I have any answers. We have my mother was married to my father until he passed in 75, and after that she had a boyfriend named Lawrence. And Lawrence is from Bellefontaine, so his family kind of claims us as family, which is lovely. They keep claiming us as family, which is nice. So his ex-son-in-law, who's now married to a different woman, just came up on us a few years ago in the yard and started chatting with us, and they're wonderful people. They could not be any kinder. And they said, oh, if we ever need any help. So we started hiring them to do like helping us with household chores and things like that. And they're going to celebrate Mom's birthday with her in a week and bake a cheesecake. And they're just wonderful, wonderful people. They're very traditional Christians. And they know mom is an atheist. And I believe in God, but it's really kind of weird. They don't quite get that. The lady of the couple they're both wonderful. She's asked me, well, tell me to explain. You say you're not a traditional Christian, but explain it to me. And I do not have an elevator pitch for what I believe. I don't have a 20-second,
Right.
I don't think that's honoring to what I believe to try to do it in 20 seconds, And I just keep saying, well, I'll tell you, but meaning like, let's go have coffee sometime and have a longer conversation, but it's just never come up. I mean, we've never gotten there. So they keep inviting my mother to events where their new minister is going to be. And they keep inviting her to their church. And especially the woman of the couple is just really pushy about it. And she's like agonizing, asking mom to come to things. And finally they said, well, can our new minister come visit you? And they're saying how wonderful the new minister is and what a nice personality he has and all that. And finally my mom agrees, but it makes me angry. It's like, leave her the bleep alone. She's an atheist. She's not interested. She's just trying to pacify you because she likes you. I feel like it starts to make me mad. There was a time when, as graciously as I could, I kept saying, they kept inviting her to something. And I kept saying, gosh, I don't think mom can come. Gosh, I don't think mom's interested. And I kept saying, gosh, it's probably not going to work. Again, so many times, and finally her husband kind of pulled her out of the room. But I don't want to make anybody wrong. And like like Anita said, I don't want to take any. And all they know is what they've been taught, traditional kind of Christian, and all the stuff that, the kind of traditional stuff, Jesus is the only way. And they really think they're really, they feel bad. Exactly what you said. They think we're going to die and all that stuff. And they really care about us.
Mhm.
So I know my only job with my 83-year-old mom is to be honoring, period.
Mhm.
So whatever's happening at the end of her life here, and I was just out there screaming at her about 20 minutes ago. Mom, Mom, I've said this 6,000 times and you keep hounding me. I can't take it anymore. And then I kissed her and I apologized. But anyway, that only pops out once in a while. But anyway, but my job is to be honoring her, period, and support her in her choices and try to support her choices as much as I can. That makes sense. Whatever she wants to do with the rest of her life,
Yeah, good.
support her as much as I can. That's my job. That's it. And I will be her Guido. If people are giving her crap, I will just try to get them away from her. Anyway, I honestly, I don't know that I have a good answer. I know with these two folks, because we are in our lives and they're wonderful and they're kind and they're fantastic. And that's the only thing that we bump. I just, as kindly as I can, thank them for what they do for us by caring, not just the work, but caring for us, being loving to us. And it's kind of like I jingle my keys in a different direction. And I don't mean to
Right.
sound rude,
Right. Well, I
So
appreciate that.
I-
but
I have
I
a
don't-
question. I have a question. What does your mom say to them or to say to you about them?
my mother will not confront them in the moment. She feels extremely uncomfortable and she's not going to tell them, go away, leave me alone. Afterwards,
What does she
She
say
said-
to you?
she's an atheist. She's
I
an
know-
atheist.
I
She has
understand.
she has zero interest in going to their church. She might be willing to meet their pastor because there's a friendly
Yeah,
visitor.
but that's not
bullshit.
that's not the question though, Liz. The question Lenny asked was, what does your mom say to you about them? You haven't addressed that.
What, how do you mean? Like, about them as people?
No,
Honey,
what
honey,
does
it's
she
a quick
say?
one.
Yeah, what does she say? When I understand that she's not going to confront them, but
Right.
when you talk about it with her later, Mom, do you want this man to come meet you? Do you want their minister to come and do a chaplain visit? Does she say yes or does she say no? Or
I didn't specifically ask her about that. I didn't even ask her about that. I thought I'll deal with that when it happens and try to find a way out of it, but I don't know.
why
I
find
think-
a way out of it? But why?
What?
If my question, I guess, for her, it's not the question I was originally thinking, but my question with what you're saying now is, why not ask her? Do you want him to come and do a chaplaincy visit? And then you can say to them, yes, she would appreciate that, or no, she wouldn't, but it's her words. Or as far as the church, Mom, do you want to go to this church? Yes or no?
She doesn't want to go to the church. She doesn't want to go to the church meeting or the food or all that stuff.
Mm.
I haven't specifically asked about the church visitor preacher guy.
Yeah, either one of those questions. We're at my mom, and I mean, my mom's 92. I would ask her, Mom, do you want this? And that way, what I could say is, on her authority, my mom has told me she's really not interested and doesn't want to hurt your feelings. So please don't ask.
Well, thank you. That's helpful.
But I would never say that without asking my mom and pinning her down to a yes or no. And I would ask it in now this is just me. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm saying this is just
Anita, you would never tell another soul what to do.
what I would do is I would not claim that my mom said something or wants something without that she didn't.
Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's good. Good reminder.
These people really care about you and they'd like you to go to church with them. I know that has never been your thing. Would you like to do that or not? And then if she says, later on in life, sometimes these things come up. I want to see what they have to say. Then you could tell them, she would like to go and whatever. Or no, she doesn't want to. But it's not your authority you're telling them on her authority. And as far as the chaplaincy visit, you know, I don't know. Who cares where they come from? If they're a nice person and a chaplain and they want to come talk with them, a lot of chaplains don't proselytize at all. They just come and do a compassionate visit of hand patting and, you know, bring you a jar of jam or a pie or something. I don't know. But, or a pot of soup. I would be
If
bringing.
they're bringing pie, yes, definitely come. Golly, nobody told me
I
about
was told
pie.
there would be pie. I was told there would be
Right.
pie.
That's right. Right.
Gonna be pie.
Yeah.
If there's gonna be pie, sign us all up.
We'll all show
Yeah,
up.
we're
Well,
all
thank
show
you.
up. But I
Thank
mean,
you for-
I just think
yeah.
it's the idea of I
Yeah.
would never presume to answer for my mom, and if you knew my mom, you'd know why. My mom can answer for herself, you know. She's
Yeah, yeah.
52, living on her own, driving. She's the designated driver sometimes, except unless we're going along, and then she wants her margarita. But no, I mean, my mom is involved with a friend group, and she's just very active and all that stuff. But
How old is your mama?
92.
No way.
Yeah.
God bless her. That's great. That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
But that's what I'm
fantastic.
saying. If someone was coming to say, hey, I want to see your
Right.
mom, you know,
Right.
I would ask her. And that way I'm speaking for her and saying, look,
Yeah.
I've talked to my mom about this and
Right.
but I would, for me, I would be very neutral. I wouldn't be like, Mom, you know, you're an atheist. You don't want to go to that church, right? You know, I wouldn't do that. I would say, Mom, people are interested, or Mom, this guy wants to come see you. They're really nice. Would you like that or would you not? And that would end the conversation for them altogether. It's like my mom says, no, please don't, you know, keep going. But my question for people was not. My question was in an ongoing relationship, so I guess it kind of segues into that, is I want to be not just respectful and compassionate, I want to continue the relationship and not have people worrying about me. And maybe those are two opposing goals, that it's never going to happen, that someone's going to, you know, if you believed, okay, say it's like, okay, she's drinking poison or whatever. We have a daughter whose friend is taking a supplement and giving it to her children that is not good. And I won't go into the details, but it's not a good thing for her or to take or give, but she believes in it. You know, if you really believe that somebody is doing something that's going to create eternal damnation and you care about them, it's kind of hard to not put your all into it. You know, if Stephen's doing something if he's eating bacon every night, that would be funny since he's a vegetarian. But if he's eating, you know, like a pound of bacon for breakfast every day, I'd be saying, Stephen, heart issues, don't do this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you really believe that you're doing something for someone's welfare and you care about this person, I just want to be mindful of continuing the relationship and gently disengaging their panic from them. Maybe that's impossible to do. I don't know.
Annie, I think it might. I think there's a level of impossible because I think it's just going to keep poking up repeatedly here and there. Because every time they get stirred up again.
I'm going to
Go ahead.
interrupt just because of the time constraints,
Sure,
and
sure.
I already told James we would like to hear his point of view too. So if we could put that on hold just
Does
for a
James
moment.
exist? Does James exist in this conversation? No, I'm
He-
teasing. I'm
he-
teasing.
he's about
Sorry,
to.
James.
He's about to. So if you guys could put that on hold for a second
Okay,
and
but-
give James a shot before
Yeah,
we.
that's
'Cause I
fine.
don't want to run out of time and not get to that.
Well, no, my comment is directly related. And Steve and I am looking forward to that pie next weekend.
All right.
So yeah. Actually, I up until a couple years ago was an atheist. And I was a dyed-in-the-wool atheist
Yeah, you
from
were.
the time I was 17.
Yep.
Certified in college. And I can tell you, Annie and Liz, that the end result of those people who desperately try to change your opinions is they break off the friendship.
Mhm.
I've had friends that I worked with, and then, you move on to other jobs, and what they do is, and then they get on Facebook and, and then eventually they just leave. I've had bosses try to convince me of things. I had to go in to spend an hour with my with the manager, the head manager of my call center unit once about it, and the thing is it's not about, for the vast majority of these people, some, maybe 5-10%, for the vast majority of these people, it's something about plausibility and feasibility structures. So they surround themselves with their folks. That's why one of the main reasons why you go to church is to prop up your beliefs. And I know this group is much different, and because we're all good free thinkers. But a lot of the places, if you go into some of those other churches, some of the more fundamentalist ones, it's more about keeping with it. And, all these like we have a huge Cornerstone church on the northeast side of town here. It's like 40,000 people, churchgoers.
Yeah.
And it's run by a guy. And it's like, they all go there just so they can be seen and said, yeah, and there's got 40,000 people next to me. And I must be right because 40,000 people can't be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I've been an oddity for these folks. It's someone like not necessarily a fly in the ointment, but someone like, if an African American would go up to Maine, 90% white people, you would be like an oddity. And that's what I was. So for me, they would try to change it because, what is this person doing? Why is he not like me? That's every single time I've engaged in a conversation like that, that was the ultimate goal. And it's not just the Mormons who come to my door every few months. It's people I've worked with, it's managers, it's line employees, things like that. So for me, Annie, the answer to your question is if they can't convert you, they break off the friendship. It's evidently not worth their time. Now like I said, there are some exceptions. I've been to last year or 2 years ago, it's 2 years now. I went to my aunt's church in Michigan, St. Paul's outside of Greenville. And this pastor lady, she was tremendous. Got me thinking about things that I had never thought of in a perspective before. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm more engaging with it now than I used to be. But for the vast majority of the stuff, I don't discuss religion at work. Obviously, well, I work in the federal government anyway. But we don't discuss things like that. We tolerate each other, but there's always that line, because I've had people cross that line with me before, and it never ever ends well. So there you go.
Yeah, thank you, James.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
very sad. I'm sorry for them. They're missing somebody really amazing.
Well, I'm always trying. I'm trying to be amazing. I don't always get there, but I try to do the best I can with what I have and to be open and understanding of other people. And I think for a lot of it, that's the big difference.
Yeah.
I'm going to be trying to. Just ask Stephen.
Sometimes she's more trying than others.
Yes, exactly. Well, just ask my wife about me and she'll give you a good report.
And I'm almost always trying, believe me. She should,
Mm-hmm.
if there's such a thing as a saint medal, she's going to get one when she's done with this, for having lived with me, I'll tell you. But anyway, Randy, welcome here. And I know your camera's on. I didn't know if that's just because of saying hi or if you'd like to contribute, but you're welcome if you have something you'd like to share. Okay, you're muted at the moment, so just. Oh, I can't. You may not have anything, but you're still muted, just so you know.
Now I'm not.
Now you're not. There you go. It's lovely to see your face, my friend. I haven't seen you in a long time.
It's freezing here, but I'm still alive.
Good.
I know it would not be freezing to you, but it's freezing.
No, it was literally 0 here this morning and with a wind chill of 4 below. So that was pretty cold here.
We are going to be at 17 tonight.
Oh, wow. That's really cold for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How about snow? Are you getting any snow?
We got sleet, but it's over. And I didn't lose any tree branches, which was
good. Good.
I lost a bunch the last time this happened, but it was sleet and not freezing rain. So That's what we usually get here, and it destroys a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm glad you weathered that well. That's great. So glad. For those of you who don't know, Randy is an extraordinary musician and composer, and we've known each other for a very long time, though we don't get to connect physically for many years. But welcome here. It's lovely to see
Thank
you.
you. I'm
Yeah.
glad I could be here.
Yeah, and he's also many other things. He's a talented writer and really cool person. So
Where's Randy from?
Austin, Texas.
God bless
See the
you.
blue bonnets back
Blue
here?
bonnets, right?
Those are a
Beautiful.
picture from another time.
Randy,
James
I'm in
James is from San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna hit about 19, I think, tonight.
Above or below? Oh, in San
Above.
Antonio. Oh, in San Antonio. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. We're going to be 2 degrees lower than that.
Wow.
17. When you get down that far, you really can't tell that much difference.
Yeah, yeah.
I have my Midwest winter merit badge. Lived in Ohio for 3 years.
Well, there you go. You've been through it. Yeah.
I have
Good
been through
man.
it. And it was 1979 in Cincinnati, which was one of the worst they ever had. The Ohio
Yes.
River froze, and people like blithering idiots were walking from Ohio into Kentucky across the river.
Was it the blizzard of 78?
Yes.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah, I
That
lived.
was something.
Oh,
Boy,
I
that
get-
was something.
Why
That
moved
was-
to Austin, Texas?
Well, welcome to Cincinnati. Oh yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. So what you're saying is we're not likely to get you to move to Fort Wayne anytime soon, right?
Well, I don't know. It wouldn't stop me, but I can't say that when I moved back to Austin, I wasn't thinking about the weather.
Yeah.
I loved Cincinnati. I loved the people. It was a great area, but I thought I don't want to do those winters the rest
Yeah.
of my life. So
Yeah.
I
Understood.
didn't grow up with it, and that's kind of what happens to you when you don't grow up with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Thank you, Randy.
As long as we're doing,
Yeah,
as long as
Eunice,
we're
go
doing
ahead.
weather. Saturday morning, 30 below.
On this planet,
Like wind chill?
Yes.
You're talking wind chill or thermometer?
that's not Mars,
No.
that's Earth.
Thermometer,
Okay.
thermometer at the front door, 30
That's Alaska.
below.
That is Alaska weather. Wow.
Probably the coldest weather Ted and I remember in our lives.
I would think. I would think so.
Although the same time in the 70s where they were talking about the blizzard, I know we were getting in the 20 belows where I was living.
Hmm.
Yeah, 26 below was the lowest I saw there.
Yeah, well,
Which was-
Wow.
Nobody here believes that's possible. But
Yeah. We have friends that used to live in Alaska and up by Mount McKinley or Denali as they call it. And they said that school kids that traveled by bus to the schools, that they did not close the schools unless it was colder than 30 below. So I can't even, that doesn't even compute for me. But anyway, so moving back to,
Yeah, besides the weather report,
yes.
talking about people who, are very committed to their doctrine, and if you don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and all that.
Mhm.
One of the sad things in my past was, yes, I was living up north and been going through, rough things. And I got down to Kalamazoo for Christmas. And I believe I arrived on Christmas Eve. I had not seen my father in many months, maybe almost a year. And as soon as I get there, it's Christmas Eve, and all he can talk to me about is going to church with him the next day.
Hmm.
Which was something that was simply not going to happen.
Mhm.
And he would not let it go. And, I was just thinking, you haven't seen me in this long, and all you can do is bring up this, long-standing family
Mm.
conflict
Mhm.
about that.
Mhm.
And I thought that was pretty sad, but I didn't go up and go to church. The last thing he said was, well, we leave for church at such and such a time. I mean, even when I kept repeating no, 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 that's where he left it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So I just stayed in bed while I heard them all getting ready for church.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
as Ani said, to me, it's a sad thing when any faith in God divides you from people you love, whether that's a Muslim faith, which divides many people from people they love, whether it's a particular form of ascetic faith of some kind where you withdraw and cut off connections in the world, whether it's some kind of cult, whether it's a guru faith, whether it's a Christian faith, whatever it is. To me, it's extremely sad that somebody's faith in God can distance them from people they love and who care about them in their lives. That seems to me to be exactly the opposite of what God wants. But it happens a lot, and not just with traditional Christians. But I'm going to turn it over to Nahama and or Shuli here for a moment before we wrap up. So go ahead, folks.
That was me, Uncle Stephen, this time.
All righty.
One, Auntie's, for her, well, one, thank you finally for owing me my snow day. Mommy showed it to me as we were driving home. Well, just before we left, actually. So I was able to see it. I'm assuming that was you, Stephen, who was tossing the snow this time, or was that Ani?
No, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
I'm impressed. The whole snow, you were completely covered.
Oh yeah, I was. Yeah. You get frostbite here this morning. You got frostbite here in about 15 minutes or less. So I was. Yeah, I didn't have anything. I was like incognito.
We just had a very nasty thunderstorm, so Auntie would have been happy. I even turned on a light to be certain because it was not fun. But oh yeah, okay. We have a low of 15 for tomorrow. Just an FYI, tomorrow evening night. For Tallahassee, and you know that's low for very low for Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so my original religion. So, we literally got back from being down in Tampa, Florida for from Shefa retreat, from chanting for a week. The Psalms.
That just sounds so delightful to me. And she's so good with all. I mean, I really adore Shefa. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so so it was interesting, the juxtaposition, because we're a whole group of Jews. There was a total of 22 of us. A few had to cancel out last minute, but but at a Franciscan center. So a Christian, retreat center. And it was interesting hearing from people who were a little weirded out by having crosses in their rooms.
Oh, right.
It was the full on, crucifix. Well, yeah, the crucifix.
Yeah.
And stuff. And me and Mom are like, because we went to this, very similar one in Pennsylvania, as you know.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
I know this one is very much like that one. Slightly different, but it's still, very nice. And it was interesting just hearing the difference of people like that. And me and Mom are looking at each other going, okay, new. I mean, we don't bat an eye at it. It's just they love when we come. They even, I heard them talking about it. They're like, yeah, come over next year. We'll be
Yeah.
happy to have you. So it's just,
That's nice. That's very nice. I used to love talking to the sisters at the Bethlehem, Pennsylvania retreat we would go to, and they were great. Yeah.
yeah. So it just made the whole conversation going on just made me think of that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Traditions, you know, if talking about messianic consciousness,
Mhm.
tradition should embrace, we're all different.
Yeah.
And the creator, I'll just use that term because I don't want to use any particular
Right.
narrowing, these guys say this one or these guys say this one. Creator's pretty smart and he knows how different we all are. So there's many paths, or she knows, or whatever, there's many paths to the divine.
Yeah.
And so, and that seems to be built into our world.
Yeah, I agree. We're getting at the end time here. I want to close with a thought. This is from a Christian writer named C.S. Lewis, who was an atheist for most of his life, and then in his later adult years became a Christian, Anglican, actually Christian. But he was interviewed, well, one particular time, probably many times, one particular interview I saw of his about his faith. And they questioned him about, so what about this Jesus being the only way to God, the only way to salvation, the only way to heaven? What about all the people who were born before him and never heard about him? They're all doomed to hell now. What about if there's life elsewhere in the universe? If there's other sentient beings in the universe, are they all damned to hell because, they don't believe in him? What about that? Is he their savior too? And they were asking some of these kind of big picture questions. And I really thought his answer was very insightful. And what he said was, I don't know. I don't know. What I know is this is my path. This is my salvation. What God has worked out for all the other souls, wherever they may be in his entire creation, I don't know. But I know he's worked it out. So I thought that was a really lovely way to look at things because it's very inclusive as opposed to very exclusive, without denying he's committed to that particular faith in their way, So I thought that was for me, that sat really well with me, and I thought that was a wonderful answer. Whether you're talking any spiritual path, this is what or like Allison said earlier, I know I'm called to be a Christian. This is what I'm called to do. This is what God has designed that works for me. But who am I to say what he's designed that's going to work for everybody else? So I thought that was a lovely insight. And personally, I think that if there is an adversarial force in the world that is sometimes talked about in Christian, Jewish, Islam traditions, and in Eastern traditions as well, the dark side, the dark side of the force, Luke, whatever you call all that. If there's such a thing, I can't think of a better plan for their side than to have people of faith hate each other and fight over what they believe. So I don't think that's a Christ-like thing to do. That's just my take on it. But and all the people that I know personally, and there are many, who I consider to be very spiritually aware, spiritually wise, spiritually, whatever, that I look up to spiritually, there aren't any of them that argue about their faith or try to change somebody and force them to believe what they believe. So again, for me, that's a really good model. So this is the last of this particular series. Thank you all for those who verbally participated as well as those who energetically just participated. There'll be a new series starting next Sunday. I don't actually know what it is yet, but I will send out the announcement and let you know. And if you have something you'd really like me to cover that you think I can, if you ever suggest something I can't, it's like I don't know enough about that to do it. So yeah. But feel free, text me, email me, whatever. I would love to hear your ideas. So let's just take a brief moment.
Before you take a brief moment,
Okay.
I would like to let people locally know that we announced a new Gather and Grow for February, and it is we have limited space. So if you would like to attend, please let us know. And for all of those of you
And
who are
the date, Ani, do you have the date in front of you?
28th, February 28th.
Thank you.
And those of you who are not local, this is plenty of time to make a flight. Just saying. Okay.
Sorry, Andy, you have to read from the Torah this Saturday. Not gonna happen.
No, it's in February.
We have
There's-
Taurus here.
I don't know what the next reading is.
Nice try, but you've got a month, or a month and a half here. So
So that's where the
book
pie
your
will be.
flights now. What'd you say, James?
What'd you say, James?
That's when the pie will be issued.
That's the pie. That's when the pie comes, right?
James, if you come, I will make sure there are pies. Hey, there were 3 pies at the last gathering by really
Really good bakers, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
So
have to check it out.
If you show up, we guarantee you a
I
delicious
guarantee pie.
I know, right? Thank you.
You too, Randy, by the way, if you like pie.
I love pie, but I'm not eating it now.
Oh.
me either. Me either. But
I look at pictures.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm with you. We'll both just look at it adoringly, but we won't eat it. Yeah.
Next
Anyway.
lifetime. Oh God, I didn't say that. No.
No, don't. Right. We'll just erase that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I would like to just take a moment and for us to hold into a space of sitting comfortably in the presence of spirit, where that love and peace and joy that we all seek resides, where it resides in us and among us, and to dwell on those things, especially when we're troubled, to come back to that quiet place inside again and touch back into what's eternal in us, rather than all those things that stress us out so much that may go on around us. Thank you for being a blessing in my life, and may we each be a blessing in the lives of those we encounter. Amen. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your being here and getting to share with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, for everything. I appreciate it. And I hope you can find that.
Everyone stay warm.
Yes, thanks, Randy. Yeah, you as well.
Thank you. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Liz. Love you all.
Love you.